Joining me now is California Congressman Jay Obernolte, a member of the House Budget and Energy and Commerce Committees. Congressman, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. I want to get your take on what you're expecting to be the biggest impact of the big, beautiful bill. When will people feel those tax cuts as well, do you think?
Good morning, Maria. I think that when we get into next year, which is when most of the tax provisions of the bill are going to phase in, that's when you're going to see this rising wave of economic prosperity in the country. And I think that that's what voters are going to be focused on next November. People vote their pocketbooks, and President Trump and the Republican-led Congress have created the conditions for an unprecedented expansion of our economy. And I think that's what people are going to be remembering next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's set to deliver billions of dollars in border security and immigration enforcement. These are things as well that people are going to feel. But Democrats are doubling down on their anti-ICE stance. Senators Cory Booker and Alex Padilla are out with a new bill requiring ICE agents to be unmasked and carry a visible ID. Meanwhile, 10 suspects were charged with attempted murder after opening fire outside a Texas detention center. One officer was shot in the neck but survived. Officials finding AR-style rifles and items reading "Resist Fascism, Fight Oligarchy." Congressman, your reaction?
Well, it's shameful what's happening to our law enforcement across the country. And Maria, it's not just ICE agents. We're seeing code enforcement officers in my district getting harassed because people think that they're ICE agents. And I think, on balance, it's just ridiculous that we're even having this discussion as a country, because we're a country that's founded on respect for the rule of law. And federal law and immigration policy is clear. You can agree with it, you can disagree with it, but you have to follow it. And that's why it's so ridiculous that the Democrats are doubling down on disrespect for the rule of law.
Ashley, I mean, you are a former Bush 43 White House official. I mean, whether it's Bush, Clinton, I mean, you go back several presidents, and every one of them wanted to ensure that people were coming into the country in a legal way and not illegally.
Absolutely. I mean, I just don't understand why Democrats continue to fall on the sword. I mean, they're digging their own grave in regards to this issue. And the more that they put things up like this, and also California just said, and I'm wondering what the congressman's going to say, that they're not going to abide by the men and women's sports. I just don't understand it.
What do you think, Congressman?
Oh, another ridiculous example of state of California refusing to follow federal law. And, this one is a political issue that's really going to come back to bite the Democrats, because this is an 80-20 issue, Maria. I mean, almost all Americans agree that biological men should not be competing in women's sports. And so they're on the wrong side of history and the wrong side of politics on this.
Meanwhile, the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, making a 2-day trip to South Carolina. He spoke with Palmetto State voters in his latest apparent bid for the White House. Watch this.
California, we're on the receiving end of most of the assault on Trump and Trumpism. 6th anniversary of one of the most devastating winter fires in American history in Los Angeles. What did Donald Trump try to do, or what did he do in Los Angeles? He didn't say a word about those lives lost. He decided to bring the military to MacArthur Park, in one of the most diverse communities in Los Angeles, on horseback in American flags, and parade himself through the middle of soccer fields where kids were at camp in a display of vulgarity and cruelty. That's Donald Trump.
Congressman, do you think he'll be the Democrat candidate for president in 28?
Well, we will see, but I'm sure it's no coincidence that he is in South Carolina, and we all know one of the most important states for Democratic primary in the presidential election. But I hope when he's there, Maria, he also mentions to Carolinians that California has the highest taxes in the country, and yet we have the worst poverty of any state in the country. We have the worst homelessness of any state in the country. I hope he mentions that we pay the highest gas tax in the country and have the highest gas prices while having the second worst roads in the country. And Maria, I hope he also mentions that the policies of his administration is what's causing Californians to pay twice as much for residential electricity as neighboring states. All of those are on his watch. And that's, of course, what voters are going to hold him accountable for, should he run for president.
You're right. I mean, it's interesting to see how voters react, because, you know, look at what happened in New York City, right? I mean, President Trump warned that New York City won't ever be the same should Zohran Mamdani win the mayoral race in November. Here's the president. Watch this.
I can tell you this. I used to say we will not ever be a socialist country, right? Well, I'll say it again. We're not going to have, if a communist gets elected to run New York, it can never be the same, but we have tremendous power at the White House to run places when we have to.
Congressman, your reaction?
Well, I think the president is right in that New York will be the poster child for why socialism doesn't work. It has never worked. It won't work there. And we're all going to campaign as conservatives on what happens to New York if they get a socialist mayor and start implementing some of these policies. But, you know, I also think that we shouldn't forget the mayor doesn't have plenary authority to run the city government there in New York. I've been a mayor before. I can tell you, you've got to convince your city council to go along with what you want to do. And I think even the New York City Council might have some problems with what that man is proposing.
Jonathan, any thoughts?
Yeah, you know, I totally agree, and I would just say this. I mean, Gavin Newsom is in an awkward position. Either way you look at it, look, the president just doesn't go around looking for states to intervene. The president only intervenes when you don't have your stuff together as a governor in the first place. So as a resident of California, I look at this and I say, you know, Congressman, respectfully, I think we have a governor that's just doing nothing but campaigning for the next 4 years, and he's starting awfully early.
All right, Congressman, good to see you this morning. Thanks so much. We'll be watching your work. Jay Obernolte joining us. Thank you, sir.